Good morning, all. Today we'll be seeing about HMP pathway, that is hexose monophosphate shunt pathway. So, under carbohydrate metabolism, we have studied about glycolysis, uronic acid pathway. So, today it is HMP pathway. It is also called as Dickens-Horecker pathway, shunt pathway, HMP pathway, pentose phosphate pathway, direct oxidative pathway, or phosphogluconate oxidative pathway. So all these are the names given for the pathway. So what is the importance of this pathway? So major purpose of this pathway is generation of NADPH and pentose phosphates. Okay, so 10% of the glucose molecules per day will be entering this pathway for oxidation, and in liver, the liver and RBCs, they metabolize 30% of the glucose by using this pathway. During oxidative phase, that is step 1, 2, 3. So in this HMP pathway, first three steps are called as oxidative phase. So in this phase, what happens is glucose 6 phosphate is oxidized with generation of 2 molecules of NADPH and 1 molecule of pentose phosphate with liberation of 1 molecule of carbon dioxide. Okay, this is what happens. So in the reaction you can observe, so first glucose 6 phosphate is converted into 6 phosphogulonolactone. Here there is generation of NADPH. Enzyme is glucose 6 phosphate dehydrogenase. Then 6 phosphogulonolactone to 6 phosphogulonic acid. Enzyme is hydrolase. There is hydration, that is addition of water molecule. Then 6 phosphogulonic acid is converted into ribulose 5 phosphate, which is a pentose. Here there is liberation of carbon dioxide and again generation of NADPH plus H plus. Enzyme is 6 phosphogulonate dehydrogenase. Okay, so finally summary of these three steps, that is oxidative phase, is generation of 2 molecules of NADPH plus 1 molecule of pentose phosphate with liberation of carbon dioxide. Fourth step is isomerization. So from fourth step it is non-oxidative phase. Xylulose 5 phosphate, ribulose 5 phosphate and ribose 5 phosphate. All these are interchangeable or interconvertible. So ribulose 5 phosphate can be converted into xylulose 5 phosphate and vice versa. Then it can be also converted into ribose 5 phosphate and vice versa. Enzymes are phosphopentose epimerase and phosphopentose isomerase. Fifth step is trans-ketolase reaction. So here ribose 5 phosphate is there, xylulose 5 phosphate is there. Both are pentoses, that is pentose means it will have 5 carbon compound. So they both will combine to form glyceraldehyde 3 phosphate and pseudoheptulose 7 phosphate. Okay, 5 plus 5. Ribulose 5 phosphate is 5 carbon. Xylulose 5 phosphate is 5 carbon. With the help of trans-ketolase enzyme, which requires pyrophosphate as coenzyme, glyceraldehyde 3 phosphate and pseudoheptulose 7 phosphate is generated. Sixth step is trans-aldolase reaction. So here transfer of 3 carbon unit from pseudoheptulose 7 phosphate to glyceraldehyde 3 phosphate to form fructose 6 phosphate. So here you can observe the number of carbon atoms here. So previous step it was 5 plus 5 is equal to 7 plus 3. So again that 7 plus 3. 7 is your pseudoheptulose and 3 is your glyceraldehyde 3 phosphate. They will combine to form fructose 6 phosphate. Okay. Next, second trans-ketolase reaction is there. Here 2 carbon unit is transferred from xylulose 5 phosphate through erythrose 4 phosphate to form fructose 6 phosphate and glyceraldehyde 3 phosphate. So when you look at the reactions or the whole pathway, you'll be understanding these explanations. Next, eighth step is regeneration of glucose 6-phosphate. Two molecules of glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate is formed in the seventh step. They are condensed to form fructose 6-phosphate. Then that is converted into glucose 6-phosphate. So, whole summary of this shunt pathway is 6 molecules of glucose are entering in this pathway. Suppose if you take an example of 6 molecules of glucose, first carbon atoms of all the 6 glucose molecules are removed as 6 molecules of carbon dioxide. Okay, so this is equivalent to oxidation of 1 molecule of glucose, isn't it? So 6 molecules of glucose is there. From all the 6, one carbon atom is removed. Okay, finally 6 carbon atom is getting liberated as carbon dioxide. That means 1 molecule of glucose is oxidized. And in each cycle 2 NADPH are generated. So 6 cycles means 6 molecules of glucose means 12 NADPH are generated. So remaining 6 molecules of 5 carbon pentoses are interchanged in such a way that 5 molecules of glucose are regenerated. So this is a summary of shunt pathway. So here is the whole pathway. So just have a look. I have already explained in the previous slides. So you have to just observe what is happening here. And a regulation of this pathway. So how it is regulated? By the level of NADP plus. Okay, so that is the main regulation here. And first reaction is catalyzed by glucose phosphate dehydrogenase, which is a rate limiting enzyme. This is inhibited by NADPH. Then oxidative phase is controlled by NADP plus levels. Non-oxidative level or non-oxidative reactions, they are controlled by pentoses. Insulin will induce GPD enzyme, therefore it will increase overall pathway. So when more NADPH is needed, the pathway proceeds to completion. And what is the significance of this HMP pathway? Physiological significance. So this pathway is seen in following organs. Okay, so this is NADPH generation. Main purpose of this pathway is NADPH generation and pentose generation, right? So NADPH generation, why is it important? For the lipid synthesis or steroid synthesis. These are the organs where this pathway is taking place: liver, adipose tissue, adrenal cortex, mammary glands, testes, ovaries, RBCs, lens of eyes, all this. Non-oxidative phase is present in almost all the tissues. So synthesis of ribose is possible in all the tissues of the body. And significance. See, HMP, significance of HMP is more important. It can be asked for 3 or 5 marks. So if it is for 5 marks, you can explain with the outline of the pathway also. Pathway you can draw. Along with that, you can explain the significance. If it is for only 3 marks, just the significance is enough. So first purpose is to produce NADPH, as you all know now. So NADPH, as I told you, to the biosynthesis of fatty acids, steroid hormones, free radical scavenging, maintaining of RBC membrane integrity, then prevention of methemoglobin formation, detoxification by hydroxylation, maintaining transparency of lens, then bactericidal activity of macrophages. So NADPH is important for all these things. Second is to produce ribose and deoxyribose. So why this ribose and deoxyribose? For the nucleic acid synthesis. Nucleic acids are your DNA and RNA. Clinical importance of this pathway is G6PD deficiency, glucose 6-phosphate dehydrogenase deficiency. So what it is, I'll tell you. And drug-induced hemolytic anemia, methemoglobinemia, thiamine deficiency leads to reduced transcrystallase activity. So what is G6PD deficiency? If this enzyme is deficient, okay, so it is a X-linked recessive trait. Okay, so if this enzyme is deficient, it will lead to drug-induced hemolytic anemia. So when anti-malarial drugs like primaquine, okay, all these are taken, and some other toxins, so this will lead to peroxide formation inside RBCs. If G6PD is deficient, the level of NADPH is also low. So whatever peroxide is generated, that can't be destroyed, so it will lead to cell lysis. Okay, and similarly, ingestion of toxic glycosides present in fava beans may be that will also lead to a condition called as favism. And some drugs like sulfur drugs and furantin may also cause hemolysis, so this will lead to jaundice and anemia. So when there is hemolysis, there will be hemolytic anemia. When RBCs are lysed, it might lead to anemia also. Next, we will see about galactose metabolism. So there is an enzyme called as galactokinase which phosphorylates galactose to galactose 1 phosphate. This reacts with UDP glucose in exchange reaction to form UDP galactose. Okay, this is catalyzed by galactose 1 phosphate uridyl transferase. UDP galactose is an active donor for galactose for many of the synthesis reactions. So galactose phosphorylated to galactose 1 phosphate, that is again converted to glucose 1 phosphate and glucose 6 phosphate. This enters, glucose 6 phosphate enters further oxidative reaction. So this is how galactose is getting metabolized. So what is the importance of this galactose? So galactose is converted into glucose which can enter further metabolic pathway. Okay, and it may be noted that galactose is not essential nutrient. So since UDP glucose can be converted into UDP galactose by the enzyme UDP hexose 4 epimerase, and this is one of the alternative pathway. Okay, so when galactose 1 phosphate phosphorylase in the liver becomes active, only 4 or 5 years of life. So this enzyme will produce UDP galactose directly, so which can be epimerized to UDP glucose. So disorders of galactose metabolism, there is galactosemia. When galactose 1 phosphate uridyl transferase is deficient, what happens? Galactose gets accumulated, right? So that will lead to galactosemia. So the incidence of this disorder is 1 in 35,000 births. Due to block in this enzyme, galactose 1 phosphate uridyl transferase will accumulate in the liver. Okay, so this will inhibit galactokinase as well as glycogen phosphorylase. Hypoglycemia is the result, and bilirubin uptake is less, bilirubin conjugation is reduced, so unconjugated bilirubin will rise in the blood, that will lead to jaundice. There will be liver enlargement also. Because of this, there will be severe mental retardation also. Free galactose accumulates, leading to galactosemia, and there will be galactosuria also. Some amount of galactose might be excreted in urine also. Then galactose is reduced to dulcitol. So this dulcitol in the lens, it will lead to cataract due to osmotic effect. In this galactosemia, there will be congenital cataract also. Okay, so galactose 1 phosphate may get deposited in renal tubules, leading to tubular damage. Diagnosis: so congenital cataract and presence of galactose in urine, okay, and elevated levels of blood glucose level helps in diagnosis. So early diagnosis, early prevention of severe outcomes. And amniocentesis, that is prenatal diagnosis, can also be done. Then heterozygous parents could be detected by elevated galactose level in blood after a galactose load. So this is how it is diagnosed. How is it treated? If lactose is withdrawn from the diet, the symptoms can be receding or subsiding, but mental retardation when established will not improve. Early detection becomes very important here, and for affected infant, lactose free diet is given. After 4 years, when the enzyme becomes active, diet can be given, normal diet. And galactokinase deficiency, so this is responsible for phosphorylation of galactose, right? So when this is deficient, also there will be galactosemia and galactosuria. So this galactose is shunted to formation of galactitol. So generally galactokinase deficiency is not seen. Okay, that will lead to hepatic or renal complications. Cataract might occur in very early age, sometimes within a year of birth. Removal of galactose and lactose from the diet is the only treatment here in this enzyme deficiency. Then fructose metabolism. So this is a ketohexose that is present in fruits, honey and sucrose. Sucrose is made up of glucose and fructose is prompted metabolized by the liver. Fructose metabolism, I told you, fructokinase, there will be deficient of this enzyme in fructosuria. Okay, fructokinase, this phosphorylates fructose to fructose 1-phosphate. So when this is deficient, fructose will get accumulated. Okay, so fructose kinase is not dependent on insulin. So here you can observe the reactions where fructose is getting metabolized. First, fructose is converted to fructose 1-phosphate, fructose 1-phosphate to glyceraldehyde, glyceraldehyde to glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate. And free fructose can be seen in larger amount in seminal plasma. So the energy for the motility of spermatozoa is produced by this fructose. So here it is, I'm mentioning about the importance of fructose. Okay, and in some persons azoospermia can be also be seen when there is a block in the duct, and fructose is estimated in the semen of these persons. When if fructose is present, the block is above the seminal vesicle duct. If it is absent, it is after the seminal vesicle. This is how they detect where is the defect. Then there is hereditary fructose intolerance. So this is an autosomal recessive disorder associated with inborn error of metabolism. Incidence is 1 in 70 persons. Okay, this is due to an abnormal gene. The defect is in aldolase B enzyme. There in fructose metabolism reactions you can just observe. So there will be vomiting and loss of appetite. Hepatomegaly, that is liver enlargement, can be seen along with jaundice. So when fructose or sucrose is introduced in the diet of infants, usually around 6 months, fructose is excreted in urine, which gives a positive Benedict's test. So since it is a reducing sugar, it gives a positive Benedict's test. This is how it is diagnosed. Accumulation of fructose 1-phosphate will inhibit glycogen phosphorylase. So this leads to accumulation of glycogen in liver. When glycogen gets accumulated, there will be hypoglycemia. The infants often will fail to thrive, that is, growth will be retarded. Then this will progress for the liver damage, cirrhosis and death. So withdrawal of fructose from the diet will be immediately relieving the symptoms. So this is seen when sucrose is introduced in the diet, usually around 6 months of age. Accumulation of this fructose 1-phosphate will inhibit this glycogen phosphorylase. There will be fructosuria also, excretion of fructose in urine by the deficiency of fructokinase. So obviously Benedict's will be positive along with Selevinov's test. We can confirm the excretion of fructose. Incidence is 1 in 1,30,000 births. So this completes HMP shunt and metabolism of galactose and fructose. This completes carbohydrate metabolism. So next class onwards we will be discussing about lipid metabolism. Okay, thank you.